Hey everyone, Jason here, digital marketing consultant, and in this video, we need to talk about the downsides of Fiverr, and most importantly, the types of gigs that are just a waste of time or worse, actually wind up hurting your business, your channel, and ultimately your income. So links in the description to a video that actually walks through the good types of gigs on Fiverr, because when it comes to creative and some web development and social media stuff, Fiverr does have its place. But for the most part here, we're just gonna talk about the worst types of gigs possible. And when we get to number 4, the absolute worst category of gigs that Fiverr has been pushing really hard, that is really going to be a waste of money. So kicking things off at number 1 is the SEO and web traffic gigs. Now, these gigs are broken essentially into 3 categories. The first category is the web traffic category. And this is where somehow these gigs are magically going to drive a bunch of targeted traffic to your website. And yes, I'm being sarcastic because they're just giving you robots. It doesn't matter how many good reviews they have, and it doesn't matter how many times you message them and say, "Is this real?" And they go, "Yes, we will not send robots." "Are you sure? Because you sound like a robot." "No, we will not send robots." "Okay, I'll give you $5 or $10, and then you give them $5 or $10, and what do? They send you robots. You see this unnatural spike in traffic if you have your Google Analytics set up, and then it just goes back to nothing. And as I've seen from comments on previous Fiverr videos, the traffic literally does not do anything. They just they literally come to the homepage. They don't go anywhere on the site, and then they bounce out. And you have thousands of people hit your site and no sales. And I get comments like this, people wondering, why do I have no sales? I'll be like, well, because they sent you robots, even though they're claiming they're sending you real people. Now, the second type of SEO web traffic gig you need to look out for is off-page SEO. So when it comes to on-page SEO, just a quick overview of SEO if you're not sure what these terms are. On-page SEO essentially means optimizing the actual page or blog post, making sure you have your meta tags, making sure the keywords are there, and making sure the post is optimized for readability. That's great. Fiverr is awesome for that. You can find some pretty good sellers. But off-page is where essentially people are going to say, hey, give me a link to your blog post or your site that you want to rank, and I'm going to go strategically place it on other websites so Google sees your link and thinks you're more important. Now again, when I say strategically place, I just mean spam. It is ridiculous how many of these gigs are actually going to hurt your website ranking, because Google is really smart. Google is smarter than all of those Fiverr sellers. That's why they're a $1 billion company, and these Fiverr sellers are only making $15 to $100 per gig. You can't outsmart the algorithm. They know when you're trying to game the system. So please just don't even try. And speaking of gaming the system, the third type of SEO web traffic gig that you need to avoid, I'm being harsh on purpose, is the blog networks. Essentially what some of these Fiverr sellers do is they create a series of websites and they link to each other and they try to rank each other up. The only problem is, as soon as someone else who does SEO figures out that someone else is doing a blog network, they report them to Google, and then the blog network doesn't work. So it's highly unlikely that you're going to find a private blog network that actually works on Fiverr, because the private blog networks that actually do work, when you work with those people, they will not tell you where they're putting their backlinks, because if they told you, then you could easily destroy millions of dollars of work. And number 2, real private blog networks are in fact private. There's absolutely no way to know, and you will pay thousands of dollars for links. So when you're looking at web traffic and SEO, off-page, just avoid it like the plague. The second type also deals with traffic, but here we're going to talk about YouTube and views, because every once in a while I get a comment asking about using Fiverr to drive traffic to your YouTube videos. And here's what I have to say about that, because I have actually tested it. I have gone through several different Fiverr gigs, messaged them ahead of time, and gone through that same robot process. Hey, do you use robots? No, we don't use robots. Are you sure? Because you sound like a freaking robot. And I just went through this with my website. No, I promise, we're sending real people. Okay, here's $20, and then you get a graph that looks like this, where you get over 2,000, not 4,000, sorry, it's 4,000 total. You get over 2,000 visits in one day, and they all watch pretty much 2 minutes and 30 seconds of the video. That is awful when it comes to trying to grow your YouTube channel. You're significantly better off just trying to use YouTube ads to grow your channel, something I talk about a lot. Link in the description to a video that actually walks you through a much better way to spend that $5 to $20 growing your YouTube channel, just using ads, because it's not against the terms of service. And I'll add the quick asterisk here. If you have any monetization enabled on your channel, please don't pay for YouTube views. Like seriously, Google is not nice at all. They don't pull their punches when it comes to their money. If you don't have any monetization, you can play with shady things like this and see if it helps grow your channel. You know what? More power to you. But if you have monetization enabled, you need to be squeaky clean. It doesn't matter if you turn off the monetization on the videos that you're testing. If Google sees anything of the sort, they will just, if you're lucky, send you a warning saying, hey, your entire channel's been demonetized per review, and you have a 30-day period where you're just not going to make any money or get paid. So seriously, if you want to monetize your YouTube channel, please just don't even bother. It is not worth the risk. Now, the third type of gig that you absolutely want to avoid comes down to another social media platform, and that is Instagram. And again, there are 3 types of gigs for growing or creating Instagram content that you need to avoid. The very first one is the professionally manage your Instagram account. Now, this is actually counter to some advice I gave about 3 years ago, where follow for follow some kind of still worked. We spent about in that particular experiment, we spent about $350 over 2 months, and we wound up getting 700 new followers. Of course, the only problem was of those 700 new followers, maybe 100 were actually engaged in what we were posting on that particular account that we were testing. So follow for follow on Instagram is dead. And pretty much what most of these Instagram managers do is they just follow a bunch of people and like a bunch of posts in order to get people to follow you back. The problem is most of the people that follow you back are trying to do the same strategy. So you're following someone and they're following you, and they're hoping that you keep following them, and you're hoping that they keep following you. And by the time you're done, your follower count goes from the 2,000 or 3,000 new followers down to just like 500 new followers, because they're not actually engaged with your content. They were just trying to do the same thing to you. The second type that you need to really be careful with and just almost downright avoid is the quote packages. A lot of sellers, just like this one, will sell you a bunch of pre-done quotes, or they'll say they're making custom quotes for you. If you're getting any sort of custom quotes where you're paying less than $10 and you're supposedly getting like 100, then they're probably just taken from other Instagram accounts. You also really need to be careful when you're looking at photos for your Instagram account, because a lot of these profiles as well and gigs will sell you packets of photos for particular niches, and all they've done is gone and stolen them from other Instagram accounts. So you definitely need to be extremely careful and avoid these. The third type of Instagram gig that you just need to avoid is the shout outs, because a lot of these don't actually come from accounts that have engagement. So unless you're able to message the seller and somehow verify that the account that they're telling you they're going to do the shout out for is in fact their account, and you can see that they have high engagement, then just don't do it. Because a lot of these accounts have hundreds of thousands of followers, but then if you look at their post engagement, they get like 50 or 100 likes. There's such a huge difference, you know, that a lot of them are probably fake. And again, most people who are looking for promotions on Instagram and going over to Fiverr don't understand these things, so they're going to leave positive reviews, which is why you'll get a lot of false positives when you're looking at these types of gigs. Now, the fourth type of gig that you just need to avoid comes down to this new service that they've been pushing. Well, it's been over a year now, but the new service that Fiverr has been pushing, and it's called Fiverr Pro. And essentially what they're doing is vetting freelancers for you that are supposedly very skilled and very qualified. Now, I say supposedly because most of the problem with this whole category is, number one, the prices seem ridiculously high. And because the prices are high, most of them don't have reviews, which means you're being asked to pay a higher price for a gig with no reviews, and you're just supposed to trust that Fiverr and their process of reviewing these people has done a good job. Now, that's not to say that the pros aren't significantly better in terms of the product or service that they deliver versus the normal Fiverr gigs. But the problem is when there's no reviews on the majority of these and it costs a lot more, it makes absolutely no sense, especially when you have alternatives like Guru, Freelancer.com, and Upwork, where you can actually go get someone who's just as skilled, if not more skilled, and you can get a custom offer based upon specifically what you're looking for. And most importantly, all of those people have a lot of reviews. It's really easy to find people. If you have a big marketing budget, you're going to spend $6,000 to $10,000 on something. You can go find some really good, really experienced people on those other platforms and actually see, years, if not over a decade, of reviews from real clients and real people. So Fiverr Pro, just definitely not worth it. Now, the last type is going to apply to a very small percentage of people, but that is development. Now, I used to consult for a tech startup, so I do have a little bit of background in this, but I'm not a software developer myself. But what I will say is if you're trying to develop software or you're trying to do something advanced on your WordPress site, then Fiverr is not for you. What you want to do is go over to one of those other sites I mentioned, like Freelancer, Guru, or Upwork, and you need to hire a software architect if you're trying to build an application, whether it's web or a mobile application, or go and hire a really good WordPress person to help you with the architecture of what you're trying to build. Then you can go to Fiverr and find someone, but it's very important when you go to Fiverr for any sort of development that you already have a basic understanding of what you're trying to build. You know exactly what plugin or theme you want to use if you're on WordPress. If you're building an application, you already know the architecture, you know whether you want to use Firebase or AWS, you already know what type of coding language you want used so that you are dictating exactly what you want to people on Fiverr. Because if you go the other way around and you expect someone on Fiverr to develop it for you, you're going to have a huge amount of headache in the long run, because messing up the back end is extremely hard to fix. Messing up the front end, or if you want some quick wireframes, Fiverr is great for that. So thank you so much for watching. I sincerely hope you got some value and some clear warning signs of what to avoid with Fiverr. So I'm curious if I missed anything that you found wasn't a good fit on Fiverr. Go ahead and comment below, because your experience is going to help other entrepreneurs and creators sidestep making the same mistakes. So thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe for more marketing videos just like this one. And until the next, keep building the business you love.